Welcome to IWMW 2017. The theme of this year's event, it's the end of the institution as we know it, and we feel fine. Actually, and it's kind of interesting that I noticed this in the Observer on Sunday. You don't need a double first to see university funding is in chaos. I think we know about this, and this the next 3 days are very much about the context that we face ourselves in higher education with a remit to supporting the digital aspect of our university activities. We have two speakers in this session, and I'll be giving a 15-minute introduction. I should just say that the plenary talks, are being live streamed. So hello to the, I think it's 4 people at the moment who are watching this live stream. It was just advertised about half an hour ago. And we will be making recordings of the talks available afterwards, subject to permission from the various speakers. But remember, if you want to ask a question and you're a bit worried about it, or a bit worried about what your bosses may say you're from the University of Poppleton and put on a funny voice so people won't recognise you. So, over to my slides. So, I'm the founder of the IWMW event and the co-chair of this year's event, and my colleague Claire Gibbons is a fellow co-chair who'll be introducing herself shortly. Bit of a context to this. It was founded by myself in my first year at an organisation known as UConn, which was based at the University of Bath. And my first major task was to run an event for university web managers in my role as UK Web Focus. So set up an event, a 2-day event at King's College London, and then it was over. And I thought, right, I'm glad I can put that behind me. I've done that. But it became popular, it became established now as a 3-day event. And it was continued until 2013, when we held what we thought would be the final event at the University of Bath, because the JISC funding of UConn finished a month later. But then people were saying we need to continue this. There's a community, there's continued interest in this area. So we looked and we discovered that yes, we could continue it. So we've continued the event, and now we're 21. The event is 21. So we'll be celebrating over the next few days. So there'll be a combination of the plenary talks in this room and the various parallel workshop sessions later today and masterclass sessions tomorrow afternoon. This event is also an amplified event with the videoing and the live tweeting. And just to say that you are free for my talk. We encourage people to tweet and to share slides and to photograph and the like. If you're using Twitter, the hashtag is IWMW17, and something that can be useful if you also give the hashtag for the session code. So this is P0. This can be particularly useful for the parallel sessions. You see a tweet which says, "This was the best talk ever and it's changed my life," and there are 10 parallel sessions and you don't know which one it refers to. So that can be really, really useful. It can be helpful for the speakers and the presenters when they go back and see how people reacted to things, the things they disagreed with, the things they agreed with. So we'd ask you to be respectful, but you can also, we would encourage you to be criticised constructively. So that's the event amplification. But this year, we're encouraging use of a new tool called Slack. Can I just have a show of hands? How many people are using the Slack IWMW? So that's probably about half of the audience. So this is good. I was introduced to this tool by a couple of members of the advisory group a year ago. And this year we formally use the tool on a weekly basis for planning for this event. And we're great fans of it. So a few months ago we set up the HE Digital group, and in that group there's an IWMW 2017 channel, and we've been chatting. And just to say, we'll use this for various admin purposes, and something I just realised a few minutes ago, you should have the name of your the code for your workshop session, but you don't know which room it's in. So I've just sent that information on the Slack channel, and we'll try and get it to you in other ways, but that will be something to look at. But so that tool might be quite useful for those type of late-minute admin type purposes. And we also heard on Slack that a number of people have been delayed coming down. There's been a fatality on the rail line just north of Milton Keynes. And I think this has affected people travelling on the West Coast main line. So we're likely to expect more people arriving. Does anyone know how they're getting on? It might be worth asking on the Slack channel. Pardon? Ah, great. That's great. Okay, so the context. So this is a brief summary of the first day and first few sessions tomorrow. So we have the theme, and this is this main theme, the end of the institution as we know it, and we feel fine, will be addressed in the plenary sessions, and there is a different sub-theme on the various days. 15 plenary talks. I should mention that one of the plenary talks on the final day has been cancelled due to the unavailability of the speaker, so 15 plenary talks. And in addition, we have the 10 workshop sessions, which last for 90 minutes later today, and the masterclasses tomorrow, plus the social programme. So that's what we get today. But let's just put this in some type of context and say, how does it compare with what we did back in 1997? Anybody at that event? No, Helen not. Oh, there you are, Helen. So one person who was there at that event. So looking back, that was just 2 days, 15 speakers, smaller scale, 97 people at that event. And when I look at the content there, it was mostly technology, web tools, database integration, networking for webmasters, and caching. We used to talk a lot about caching in those early days, and those were often given by the experts, leading experts in the country who'd come down to say, this is how networking works, this is database integration. And if you look at that programme, that's a full programme, there were only really 2 from the community, or 2 that would still be relevant today. Colin Work on information flow. And down at the bottom we have a discussion group on the trials and tribulations of a web editor by Jeremy Speller and Damon Querry. Both of those topics, I think we could still run them today. But others, it's changed. So we have saw that change. And then when I was looking yesterday at some of the old slides, is Miles here? Yes, Miles Banbury. These were the slides that Miles, I think he might have been reporting on a discussion group on Whose Site Is It Anyway in 1999, and his slides are still available. I was thinking of asking Miles, give this talk and make it comprehensible and relevant to today, so to see really how we have moved on. So we might ask if he can do that tonight. We'll get him a few drinks and we can ask him later on tonight. But there is this continuity, but also change. So this year we have 43 speakers. Now that is about a third of the audience. So just look to the person on your left, the person on your right, and yourself. One of those 3 people is statistically likely to be a speaker. So put your thumbs up, put your hands up if you're one of those people who is speaking here. So you can all say lots and lots of people here. You're the people who are sharing your experiences, telling stories about the use of the web in your particular context. So we were learning very much from our peers, but also from the wider sector as well. And if we look, we can see up at the top that Adam Frank, who's from a Squiz, who's running a session. Then a number of people, I think the rest of the people on that first page are from the sector. The web editors, the web team managers, the head of web services, head of systems, web content editors, and the like. Incidentally, I don't know what all the job titles are. I didn't ask this on the registration form today, but outside on the wall there's a whiteboard, and you can put up a post-it note and you can put your job title so we can see about those, the roles we have. And what we have, I realised, was a community of practice. And this is a summary from Wikipedia. Community of practice, people who share a craft or a profession. And it's a community which can evolve naturally because of common interests that we have, or it can be created deliberately with the goal of gaining knowledge through the process of sharing information and experiences. So this is what this event is. And this event, and the plenary talks in particular, are those ones which are created deliberately. the advisor group says, these are what we feel are the key issues, the key topics. Here are some good speakers. So we manage that and we create this environment. But there are also things that will evolve. It might be just semi-organised. So the workshops and masterclasses might provide more of an opportunity for people, everybody in the session, to talk about things that are relevant to them. And then we have the things that you might do. The birds of a feather session. We're talking yesterday, 2 topics came up in the pub yesterday people felt passionate about. One was about the miseries of restructuring. Anybody experience that? And then, yeah, and then somebody else says, oh, no. The biggest grief we have is we're all silos. It's really crazy. Our university needs to be restructured. So it's kind of interesting that, isn't it? But there is, outside again, on the post-it, you can get a post-it note and say, I'd be really interested in a particular area. And meet up, there'll be opportunities to have the informal meetups in the bar, tables tonight, various opportunities over the next 3 days. And these communities of practice have existed for a long time, and it's about learning and sharing experiences through storytelling. And so for the next 3 days, you'll listen to some storytellers, and hopefully you will tell your own stories as well. So the event, it's a community event, exists for the community, the web management or the digital community. And rather than expecting the community to travel to a central location, which normally it would be London, or JISC have been using Birmingham for a number of years, we made a decision 21 years ago to go out to the community. So as far south and east as Canterbury, we were here in 2003 as well, then over to Northern Ireland, and as far north as Aberdeen. So travelled across the country, which has some implications. Some of you might be moaning about the time you had to set off yesterday or perhaps this morning, particularly the train problems, but it has some advantages as well. There are people here are local, from Canterbury or from the region, so it's convenient for those people. And we get to see a different institution, different way of working, different environment. And I'm sure I'm not the only person who thinks, what a lovely campus this is. And isn't it absolutely amazing when you get the bus down the hill on a bright sunny day and you can see the cathedral and you can see the town? Absolutely wonderful. So for me, it's like being on holiday, isn't it? It's great, it's great. So we have the events, the community, we have the speakers, and we have the delegates. This is you. So this year, 136 registered delegates are on the form. I asked for a number of previous events you'd been to. 40%, so roughly 40% of delegates are here for the first time. And this is amazing. This is a new generation of people. So I'm really pleased to have these new people who are coming along. And there'll be old fogies like myself, slightly younger fogies like Claire, and sometimes think we are the rock dinosaurs, and there's going to be a whole new generation of people with new ways of doing things and new interests, and we need to talk and we need to engage and understand these things. But this event now belongs to those new people, the ones who've been here for the first time. Show of hands if you're a first timer. Wow. And maybe if you've been to one other event before, you went to maybe last year's event, another significant percentage of people. It was also interesting that quite a significant proportion of females in the audience. And as I say, 43 speakers and workshop facilitators, which is the largest ever. So this is the largest ever IWMW event, not in terms of the numbers of the audience. There was 197 in 2008, but in terms of the numbers of speakers and facilitators. And overall, 43 this year, 41 the previous year. Add them all up and you come to 666 speakers, but they're all not unique speakers. There have actually been 372 individuals who've spoken at the 21 events. 43 speakers, 28 from a higher educational institution, 11 from the commercial sector, and of the 14 plenary speakers who work at a university, 10 are first-time speakers at the event. This is really, really great. There are some of the old fogies who are going to come along and talk. Is Paul Boag arrived yet? Oh, that's right. It's okay, I can say that. And it's also good that a number of the speakers are also first-time attendees at an IWMW event itself. And it's not just men in suits speaking, 12 female speakers as well. I mention these things because in Northumbria a few years ago, one of the female speakers was saying, is she the only female speaker? And she was, and we said we must do something about this. We have been doing something about this. And then we have the sponsors. The sponsors are members of this community as well. Many of the companies have been involved for a number of years. They not only they fund the events, and they fund the social events and prizes and conference drinks and dinners and barbecues and all of those things, but it's also an opportunity for you to go and talk to them and for them to listen to you. They find it really valuable listening to you, what your concerns are, what your interests are. As well as the commercial sponsors, we also have an individual sponsor this year, Adrian Tribe, who used to be the web editor at University of Birkbeck, but finished his job recently. And as a token of the importance of this community to him and his professionalism, he provided some money which funded a sponsored place at this event. This is all part of this community. And then we have the advisor group, which has an important role to play in shaping the content and promoting the content and supporting the events. But we also have the longer term issue. So for long time, the event was organised by UConn and was supported by, managed by UConn. And then after UConn ceased to exist, the event was organised by myself jointly with NetSkills. And then 2015-16 organised just by me. So it was 3 years in which it didn't really have that bigger kind of support. So I regard this as, it was being at university, but now we're 21. And we're grown up, and we need to address those issues about the sustainability and the risks of being reliant on a single person. So I'm going to ask Claire just to come along. So this year I invited Claire to formally be my co-chair and have particular responsibilities for links with sponsors and the social programme. So Claire, over to you.
Hi. Are the microphones on? Yeah, good. Okay, cool. So hi, I'm Claire. I'm the co-chair, as you can see there. Most of you, well, some of you might know me from the University of Bradford, so I was there for 19 years. I was the web manager, also managed marketing, social media, video, and all that sort of stuff throughout the years. And this time last year, I was in a strange situation in that I was going through a massive restructure, to the point where 3 weeks later I had no job. So I went freelance. And now I'm here, which is great. I've done a bit of work with Terminal 4 and Loughborough University. Where's Loughborough? Stephen here. Go Loughborough, yeah. So it's great. And I think what's really important is this community and the value of getting to know people and understand how different people work and learn from each other. So do really make the most of the networking and the social. There are a few social things going on. We had a quiz in the pub last night, which was good fun. I think people enjoyed that. There's some activities tonight at the Do, so we'll probably tell you a bit more about the dinner in the break, or should we say that now about the dinner?
Go say it now.
Yeah, so the dinner tonight is over at Rutherford Hall, which is about a 5-minute walk over the other side of campus. If people want, we can always meet up in the foyer here and walk over, or you can just wind your way through campus. So there's a drinks reception at 7, and then dinner starts at 7:30. There's a few things going on there. Has everybody got a people bingo card? Good, yes, organised fun, yes. So if you want to fill those in, do bits of swapsies. I don't like spiders, if anyone needs that. And it's also loads of things that I can tick off. And there's a big black box by reception to put them in, and there's some prizes at the barbecue tomorrow for those. So there's a barbecue tomorrow. That starts at 6 with food at 6:30, and then it finishes at 8 tomorrow, and then people are free to go into the town. So again, I think probably a few of us will go into town and find a pub of some description. Brian's already mentioned the what's your job title, and we've also got a thing about Room 101. So if there's something in particular that you would just like to assign to Room 101, stick a post-it note on the wall. There might be some prizes for those a bit later on. And also, the Birds of a Feather sessions. That is basically if people just want to chat and meet up about anything over lunch, over dinner. And again, I've seen that a few people have put those on already. That's it. After the dinner tonight, if people are still up for it, as it were, the K-Bar, which is just by Dolce Vita, is open till 11. So again, I'm sure some of us will wander back. think that's it for now.
Great.
Great
Thank
to
you.
see everybody.
Thank you.
See you later.
And so Claire mentioned some prizes, and there will be some opportunities for session chairs to give out some prizes, but I'm conscious we're a few minutes over, so I'll defer that for a bit. And go over to Bonnie Ferguson, if you'd like to come over. And the fascinating title of your talk, the UK's European University in a Time of Brexit. So...